Now, in March, Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Patricia de Lille, announced that her department would erect a 37 million rand fence on each side of the Beitbridge border post to put a stop to border jumpers. That fence, which the Democratic Alliance has dismissed as a washing line, has since been vandalized and is the centre of controversy because of its cost and procurement process. The DA says de Lille and her advisor, Melissa Whitehead, should be taken to task over the fence debacle. The party says Whitehead, who worked under the mayorship of de Lille in the city of Cape Town, was closely involved in discussions around that fence and was also implicated in irregular procurement processes around My City Bus project. Joining us on the line to broaden discussions is Samantha Graham-Maré, DA Shadow Deputy Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure. A very good morning to you, and thank you so much for your time. You're saying that you've been reliably informed that the Minister's advisor and perhaps the Minister to a certain degree was involved in the discussions around the Beitbridge border fence upgrade project. What role exactly did Melissa Whitehead play in this matter, as well as the Minister?
Good morning. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I received an anonymous tip-off that there had been some interference by Minister Patricia de Lille and her staff in the procurement processes around the border fence. And I received a timeline of various meetings that had been set up from January with her technical advisors and various members of staff. And in the midst of that, out of the blue, one of the people who had been involved in meetings was Melissa Whitehead. Funnily enough, at the same time, I had just received an answer to a question that Melissa Whitehead had been appointed as a special advisor to the minister. So my understanding is that she was involved in some of the meetings to discuss scoping and variation orders and the appointment of the contractor themselves.
What's the reaction been from Minister Patricia de Lille? Was she aware of what was happening in this regard?
When we had the various meetings around the border fence, and also when we had the meeting with SCOPA around the border fence, Minister de Lille denied any knowledge of what had happened and what had transpired with respect to the appointment of the contractor. She denied having any knowledge at the time of the cost of the fence. But from the information that I've received, her technical advisor from her office actually initiated the discussions as early as January this year with respect to this fence. So I cannot understand how she would have had no knowledge of what was happening when her advisors and political role players within her office were involved in a number of discussions, including behind doors discussions with the contractor themselves.
It's not the first time that Melissa Whitehead has been implicated in irregularly influencing procurement processes. Just looking back at her links to the My City Bus project, what action will you be taking against her, or what sort of, what's the end story that you'd like to see play out here?
Look, I think a lot of people are going to think, well, this is a personal issue between the DA and Minister de Lille and Melissa Whitehead. This is not personal. This is about good governance. We are here to make sure that our oversight is done without fear or favor and to ensure that the country itself is getting value for money on every single transaction that they undertake. So for us at this stage, it's not anything that we can do with respect to Melissa Whitehead, but we do need to take the minister to task. My job is to do oversight over the minister herself, and she is then required to do oversight over everybody else under her jurisdiction. So we will be taking the minister to task and not Melissa Whitehead. So I will be requesting a copy of the SIU report that has apparently been quashed by the minister and the Auditor General, the Director General, I apologize. And we will also be asking for the reports that were done by National Treasury and the Auditor General into this incident. And based on what we discover, we might request that for the duration of the investigation, the President actually suspend the Minister, as she has done with her Director General, for the same reasons.
You say it's not a personal matter between de Lille and the DA. As you embark on this mission and head to the Auditor General and Treasury to investigate this matter, what message are you trying to send out very strongly here?
Look, it wouldn't have mattered which minister was involved in this. At the end of the day, we cannot allow ministers to be interfering in tender processes. It goes contrary to the PFMA. It goes against everything that we stand for. Ministers are part of the executive, and their role is to do oversight over their officials and to ensure that they are complying with the various legislation and acts that are in place to secure tenders. We cannot allow any ministers to be interfering, issuing instructions, having their staff involved in discussions. So the message we are sending is that the DA stands for good governance, and it doesn't matter who you are. We will take action if you are found to be contravening any of the legislation around supply chain management and procurement processes.
And what sort of timeframes are you looking at in terms of taking the steps that you speak about?
Well, after the Sunday Times report about two other issues that the minister had been involved in with respect to tender and procurement, I was going to write to the Auditor General and to National Treasury on Monday. But while I was busy with that, I got the information around the border post fence. So I will be writing today to National Treasury, to the Auditor General, and to the Acting Director General of Public Works to request the SIU report that he had actually asked for and that the Minister and the Director General had requested be quashed.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. DA Shadow Deputy Minister of Public Works there and Infrastructure, Samantha Graham-Maré, speaking to us about the implications and allegations around procurement processes involving Minister Patricia de Lille and her advisor. Of course, we will continue to bring you more news. Still to come, we take a look at how the markets are faring, and we also put animal cruelty under the spotlight as we speak to campaigners who are preparing for a court hearing around the shipment of over 80,000 sheep to the Middle East. That conversation and more still to come. Stay tuned.